So, hello if you're joining us on the video, which I hope gets published. Um, please have your props ready, any substitutes you need, a couple of blocks, a blanket, a strap if you find yourself using a strap. That will be great. And we will get started. I'm going to mute everybody so we do not listen to the general chaos. There we go. And we will start on our backs today. We usually in this class start relaxing on your back in Shavasana position. So have your mat. Of course, a towel is a great substitute for a mat if you don't have one. Have your mat ready and just find yourself a comfortable position. If you need to support the back of your head, a little something under your neck is great. If you find Shavasana is problematic on your back, some people find it a little stressful with the legs out long. You can always take your knees, bend your knees, and put your feet flat on the floor. And that is sometimes a relief to the lower back. You can also allow your knees to knock together, to fall in towards each other, and feel that lower back on the floor. So today we will start with some pranayama work. We're going to find a long yoga breath to help us stabilize and arrive on our mats, help join our minds and our bodies. First, observe your breath for a few cycles and see how it's going today. See where your breath is coming into your body, how it feels, if there's a texture, a flavor, an aroma, a temperature. What is your breath like today? And have a moment of gratitude that that breath is still flowing. It's sacred wind through your body, allowing all those systems to work together, bringing oxygen and fuel through the blood to every corner of this really marvelous instrument, this ride that we get to experience the earth through and within. Then allow the breath to lengthen. You can bring the breath in strong through the belly, allow the ribs to widen, and then bring the breath all the way up towards the top of the lungs and feel your chest broaden. As you exhale, the shoulder blades settle on the ground, the belly falls to the ground, flattening the lumbar curve, and the breath exits with a gentle release. Let the breath be equal duration of inhale and exhale. All the way up into your body and all the way out. Inhale and exhale. Work on your own count of maybe 5 counts, maybe 4, whatever feels right to you. And at the very apex of that breath, take a pause with the full inhale. And the same at the bottom of the exhale. Take a pause and allow yourself to feel that emptiness for just a moment before you begin the next inhale. All the way up with the belly rising to the top of the shoulder blades. I'm going to rise now for just a moment. I'll be right back. I have to grab my clock. Continue with the long, even ratio breath. Pause at the top with an inhale, at the top of your inhale when you're full, and pause at the bottom with the exhale when you're empty. If those pauses cause any tension, you can skip that. We don't want to add any stress or tension to this breath. And as you're here, feel the back of your body touching the floor. Every part of your body that touches the floor. Be aware of that as this breath flows into your body. It's possible to add at the top of that inhale, when you think you're full, push yourself to sip in just another breath, another tiny bit of air. And when you reach the bottom of your exhale, see if you can purse your lips and blow out a few molecules. Just empty completely. Anything you don't want in your lungs is gone, and it's completely filled with fresh air. This can actually increase your breath capacity, which is something we all use and need, is a deep breath capacity. Now, as you work this breath and feel this full breath, find whatever joy there is in that, whatever pleasure, and appreciate it. Appreciate this great capacity we have to fill these lungs that still work so well, still fill and empty. How many times every day, whether or not we're paying attention to it? 3 more long yogic breaths arriving here on your mat, pulling your spirit and your body together with this magic, infinite, continuing breath. And we'll begin to add some more motion. There's motion just in the breath, but now as you begin your breath, let's everyone take the legs, bend at the knees, and put the feet flat on the floor, knees facing the ceiling. And when you begin your breath, let the belly rise fully, and let the lumbar curve leave the floor, and feel like almost exaggerate that lumbar curve a little bit. And when you exhale, flatten that belly towards the floor. Feel that pelvis rock so that the lumbar curve just about disappears as you press your belly in. The pelvic tilt moved by the breath, rising up and lowering down, rising high, and then flattening. If you want to add to that, you can actually look slightly back and let your head, your chin rise as you let the breath flow into your body. And as you push down and let the breath out, take the chin slightly towards the chest. Let the head fall back, the neck arch slightly, and with the exhale, press flat. We'll add on from there with the arms. As you inhale, lift those arms overhead so that the back of the hands come towards the floor. And as you exhale and flatten down, bring those arms back to the sides of the body. The arms are moving a long way here, so they may have to move more quickly to reach their goals during this breath. And the arms begin to loosen, and you'll feel your shoulders waking up here Observe what's going on in the shoulders, as well as observing how that pelvic tilt feels. What's happening in there today? How does that bottom part of your spine feel? What's going on? And if this is all feeling good and working for you, you can stay with these motions, or you can add a push with the heels as your arms rise and lift the pelvis slightly off the floor. And with the exhale, roll all the way down, feeling the spine articulate. The beginnings of a bridge pose. Breath, the back isn't warmed up yet, so it's a low rise. But as you work through this a few times, you may find you can push up a little higher and feel the hamstrings and the glutes firing up a little bit. Feel some warmth and energy flowing through your body as you roll through this gentle flowing bridge. Let's do this 3 more times. See if you can find in this motion some fluidity, some flow. Like the breath is a wave washing on the shore. And the motion of your body is being initiated and powered by that breath. After the next breath, find yourself on the floor, quiet for just a moment. See if any changes or anything has happened yet in this beginning of the yoga class, and then lift the knees and pull them in towards the chest. Give yourself a rock across the back of your hips. Observe now what happens with your breath as you have these knees in towards your torso. What happens with the breath? It's compressed. You may find that the knees move away from you with the inhale and towards you with the exhale. Let's exaggerate that for just 3 breaths. Breathe in and let the knees move away. And breathe out and pull those knees towards you. Breathe in, let the knees move away. And breathe out and bring the knees in towards the body. As you pull the knees in, you'll find the knees resisting and giving you a little bit of a workout there. Then take the knees apart from each other and draw circles with the individual knees. Your hands on the knees, manipulating, beginning to move the thighs, the hip bone and the hip socket. So we'll also be moving the back of your pelvis. See what's going on in those hip joints today. Take the circles in both directions and see what you feel. Does it feel loose, tight? If there's a sore or a gritchy place, you can move slowly through that. Find out if this movement is going to help. Anytime a movement is really painful, that's a great reason not to do it. Don't want to be causing any pain. The feeling of opening, stretching, releasing is great. It may be slightly uncomfortable, but real pain is not what we're going for here. It's always a reason to modify or stop with a yoga asana. So as you warm up those hips, let's keep those circles going just a little bit more. Begin to make them smaller. Bring the knees in another time. And then put the feet on the floor. And put the dog on the, oh, that's all right, she's going to sleep. Put the feet on the floor. And take your hands, press them onto your thighs. Take the heel of your hands down towards that place where the thighs and the pelvis connect, way at the joint, and push the heel of the hand into that joint, hand flat on the thigh. belly is really strong as you press down and push those thighs back at you and feel the tractioning length of your spine as you do that. Full breath and release. Let's take our hands and reach across the body. Doesn't matter which one is on top. Just start with one and then we'll do it the other way. And reach towards your shoulder blades. Give yourself a hug here and begin to roll back and forth across your shoulders. Your hips will probably leave the ground a little bit too. That's okay. Just see what's going on in that upper back at the shoulders. I like to lift my head a little bit here. And if you want to try that and support your neck, that's fine. If your neck is okay without a support, you can leave your hands where they are, because there's a set of muscles right under the shoulder blades that you can reach as you lift your head. This may be really helpful to you. And you can move up and down with your head supported or your head free as you roll back and forth across the shoulders. Or you can just keep it on the ground if that's better for you today. And feel what happens. You reach those elbows towards the ground on each side. They don't have to touch the ground. You're just reaching towards the ground. And if you stretch with your elbows like this, you may find that the outside of the lifted shoulder is also getting a little bit of a stretch. So now those elbows are reaching and the shoulders are opening in a different direction across the back. Make that motion smaller until it is gone. Let's take the hands overhead, the feet long, and stretch out through the hands and the heels. Stretch the right leg and the right foot away from each other. Release and take the left hand up and the left foot away from the hand. Repeat that on each side 2 more times. Feel that long stretch across the side of the body. Then take the left hand take the left wrist in the right hand and take both the hands and the feet over to the right, making a long side stretch so that the left side of your body opens wide, and feel your breath pour into those ribs that are fanning open. And that whole left side of the body from the foot to the hands is wide open in a crescent shape on the ground. Send your breath into that wide crescent. Release the left hand and take the right hand into the right wrist into the left hand, and take both hands and feet over to the left side and fan open the right side of the body. Gentle stretch in a C shape or crescent shape, opening the whole side body. And release. See if you can find one of those blocks. And if you don't have a block, a rolled up towel is excellent for this kind of a exercise as a substitute. Take it between your knees and lift the knees up to tabletop position. So the shins are parallel to the floor. For this action, you'll feel your belly light up, pressing into the floor, strengthening. Take your arms out into a T shape. You can have your hands rolled over so your palms are on the floor, or the back of your hands are on the floor, whichever feels more comfortable to you. And take a moment to align yourself here. Feel the strength of your belly pushing into the floor. The knees are pressing into the block. Everything's alight with musculature. The head and neck can be completely relaxed though. We're going to move gently over to the right, just a couple of inches. The left hip will lift. And then with the side of your belly, bring everything back to the ground. So this is going to be the inhale. this taking us over to the left this time, just a few inches. And the exhale will bring the belly back to the ground, and see if you can concentrate on the sides of your belly and feel that musculature at the side of those, just below your ribs, reaching and strengthening to allow this motion back and forth from side to side. You can take this as far as feels comfortable. It can go a little farther on each repetition until you find yourself using momentum or not being able to come back comfortably with the belly working. We want to keep this work in the belly just as much as feels good to you. We'll do it 4 more times. If you finish before 4, that's fine, you're finished. So I'm going back and forth 4 more times. This is the last one. And this time I'm going to allow my knees to fall all the way over to the right. You can put your feet on the floor first. Move your hips just a inch towards the left, and then allow the knees to fall over. Keep the block here. That will protect the lower back to some extent. You'll find probably that your left shoulder has come off the floor. If this is uncomfortable, you can slide a block or blanket under that shoulder to support it, under the arm to support the shoulder. If it's okay, it's just a stretch, you can allow it to happen and let that shoulder relax towards the floor. It's a big twist along the spine and the belly, but the block will help you keep your back in alignment here. Let's take one more breath in this position. If you're comfortable with it, you can allow your head to turn away from your ribs for a gentle stretch in your neck. Now it's going to be hands pushing into the floor and belly working hard to bring those knees back up. Take a breath in the center and allow your knees to fall to the other side. Again, you'll probably find the opposite shoulder lifting. That's perfectly natural. If you need to support it, it's really uncomfortable, you can support it. And if not, you can just feel that stretch and breathe into that sensation, allowing that shoulder to open. And at the end, we're going to take a deep in-breath, or out-breath, sorry. Push the belly into the floor and lift the knees. You can place the feet on the floor. We're going to do one more bridge with the block between the knees. So feet on the floor. You can start with your hands at your sides. And let everybody bend the arms so that the hands are pressing up and your whole top of your arms by the biceps from the shoulders to the elbows is pressing into the ground as you push into the floor with your feet and lift the hips. The knees push away towards the opposite wall, and you begin to feel this stretch along the front of the body, especially along those lifting muscles, the psoas, the flexors in the hips. Those are also sitting muscles, so they do get tight when we're around the house a lot. They can get tight from gardening too, my gardeners here. Take 3 breaths in this bridge pose and feel those elbows and the top of your arms pressing into the ground. If your ribs are popping up, see if you can relax them down a little bit. And you'll find as you do that, that you lengthen the back of your pelvis, which is comforting and strengthening to the lower back. Keep pressing the knees into the block, and with an exhale, lift the heels and lower down one vertebrae at a time, as if your back is a string of pearls. balls or string beads that you're laying onto the ground. Arrive at the ground and take a breath here. How is the breath now? What's going on with the body? A little bit of warmth has started, I hope. Reach and remove your block, set it to the side. We're coming to hands and knees. If you want to roll to your side and press up with the upper hand, that's excellent. If you want to roll back and forth across the length of your spine for a gentle massage and then land up, that's great too, whatever works for you. And to prepare for hands and knees, let's take a blanket and press it, put it onto the mat. You might not need this if your mat is on a nice rug. You may find you have enough, but these are very bony. We've all noticed that, and the comfort of a blanket under them is a big help. And take a moment here to arrive at hands and knees. Feel your alignment. And just move around for a moment. Just feel what's going on in your hands and knees position. How is this for you today? Then we'll land with the hands wide. I like to have the hands out in a starfish shape. And instead of having my middle finger forward, I like to have my pointer finger forward. Gives me a tiny bit of opening in the shoulders, which I appreciate. From here, let's start and do some cat-cows, which is the same motion as the pelvic tilt we began with, but exaggerated. So with the exhale, both the shoulders and the hips curve up into the Halloween cat shape. And with the inhale, the heart reaches through the shoulders and the belly drops. Back of the neck stays long. Big shape. Change. Big breath. Feel this action, and we'll immediately begin to make this bigger if it's comfortable by taking the hips back towards child's pose during the cow phase. And you can also take the hips a little forward towards a half plank with the cat. So you begin to move back and forth as well and up and down. This motion can be as big or as small as feels correct in your body today. So at the apex, you'd be moving all the way back towards the heels, and with the inhale, you'd be moving all the way forward into a half plank. Which, however much motion feels good to you to add, you could be just staying with the original cat-cow motion. See if you can find that fluidity, that bending and flexing of your spine, which is a natural motion, like the way that the eelgrass moves with the tide's water, that flow, a normal and healthy fluidity range of motion. Different for all of us, different for each of us every day. We'll come through with the breath 3 more times, wherever you are. And on the third one, land yourself in a full child's pose for a moment, whichever that is for you. And if your hips don't come all the way to your heels, you're welcome to take a folded blanket or a block behind your knees to support yourself. But while you're here in child's pose, let's bring the hands together, interlock the fingers, lace the fingers together, and give the wrists a little love by drawing figure 8 shape with your fist. Helping to loosen those wrists up in case the cat, helping to loosen those wrists up and in case the hands and knees position is stressing your ribs a little bit, your wrists. Now take a full, long breath in child's pose, bringing the breath way back to the base of the spine. Feel the broadness at the back of your hips there. Feel the breath pouring in to that area. And with the next breath, rise back up to hands and knees. Take the right foot back with the toes bent under. Push the heel back to stretch the whole back of the right leg. Liven it up. Feel what's going on in that area. If you've been doing a lot of walking or biking, you may get some stretch in there right away. That feels like something you want and need. Then with your breath, take the leg parallel to the ground. And we will take, with an out breath, that knee forward towards touching the elbow. And then exhale long, inhale, knee towards elbow. Right knee towards right elbow. Long, bring it in towards touching the elbow. Feel again a little action in the abdomen with those strong belly muscles. One more. Now this time we're landing with the thigh parallel to the floor, the knee bent, and the heel up towards the ceiling. And press up through that heel. I'm going for 10 times. Just little pulses. And stretch the knee long at the end of the 10th one and bring it back to the ground. Give yourself a wiggle. You can look over your shoulder at your hips towards the right, then over your shoulder at your hips towards the left. And stretch the left leg out with the toes under, pressing back through the heel to open up the muscles, start to release what's going on in the back of the left leg. This one may be very different. If you're having trouble with your wrists during this sequence, you can come to fists. If your wrists are suffering, sometimes the pressure of the weight on the hands can be tough. Then lift that left leg parallel to the floor. We'll do the same sequence with the in-breath, bringing the knee towards the elbow. And I'm sorry, this is the in-breath where we extend the leg. The out-breath takes the knee towards the elbow. And out. It doesn't have to come all the way towards the elbow. It's just that action, feeling the lighting up of the muscles in the side and bottom of your belly. Wherever that action for you happens is the right place. 2 more. As always, you can stop whenever you have had enough of a repetition. You can drop out of the repetition and rejoin. Then stretch the knee back so that the thigh is parallel to the floor. Flex the foot so the foot is in line with the ceiling, and press up for 10 little pulses. And stretch that leg long and bring it back. So long as we're here, let's do a little shoulder stretch. And this is the one where the arm interlaces under you. So you're going to pour the weight into your left hand, reach the right arm up, and then take this right arm between the left arm and the knee and stretch. Now, we're coming to lower the body, the side of the body to the floor. I'm going to turn myself around so you can see this better on the demonstration so that I'm facing the screen. So the arm lifts up and then laces through, and you lower yourself to the floor. And feel that whatever stretch you find along the outside of that bottom shoulder. If this is too much for you, then rise up and take the arm across the body this way. Feel what's happening. You can stretch this arm, the free arm, over the head. You'll find this is also a gentle twist on the side. Then to get out of this position, this is one of the ones where people sometimes say, this is very cool, but I'm stuck. You take the top arm, bend it back so it's in front of your face, and press with that hand and release yourself to hands and knees. We'll do the same thing on the other side, and I'll turn around again. You're just going to use your opposite arm. Lift the arm. This is the left arm. We started with the right. And thread it between the hand and the knees and allow your shoulder to relax towards the floor. This shoulder may be very, very different. See what's happening. Again, there's an alternate by just allowing yourself to gently pull that arm across the body. And this arm can straighten and come towards overhead. And breathe, stretching several directions here. Then to come out, bend the top arm so your hand is square on the floor by your face and push yourself up. While we're here, let's take one more shoulder stretch by walking the hands forward into puppy dog. So this is the front half of Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. So the hands are flat on the floor, arms are straight and reaching, shoulders are rolling open, and relax your head towards the floor. It may not come anywhere near the floor, that's fine. It's the opening in the shoulders and the arms we're looking for. The head is where the head is. That's not the problem, not an issue. Feel that stretch and send your breath into that opening. One more breath. And to come out from here, you're just going to bend one elbow, place it up by your face, bring the other elbow back and push up. Come back to hands and knees. Take a full breath here. Maybe you would like a cat-cow again. We're coming towards belly on the floor. The easiest way to do this is to bend the elbows back and allow the chest to land towards the floor. If you are comfortable with chaturanga, that works really well too. Chaturanga is where you just, it's like the lowering from a push-up. You bend your elbows back, keeping them close to the body, and bring the chest down, just as if you were going to do a push-up, but you'd forget to do the push-up. Let's find ourselves on the floor. First of all, stack the wrists with the elbows forward, rest the forehead on the wrists, and then rock back and forth across your hips. And send a deep breath into that lower back area again. And I'd like to bring you into Sphinx pose. So for Sphinx pose, the elbows are bent and pressing into the ground. The legs are long behind you. The shoulders are lifted and reaching back. You're like the Sphinx in the desert, really pressing into the hands and elbows If this is hard on your lower back, you can move your elbows forwards a little to adjust the height of the Sphinx. Wherever you are, whichever adjustment is most comfortable for you, light up the legs, press the front of the feet into the floor. The legs are almost rolling in towards each other as if you have jeans on and you're lining up those inseams. The forearms and the elbows are into the floor. The shoulder blades are on your back and the chest is reaching forward. The head isn't cranked up. The back of the neck stays long. So in this Sphinx position, there's a lot going on. It's a gentle back bend, but there's a lot of work. Let the belly lift to support you and feel this strength of this pose. Use your breath. 2 more breaths. And slide the arms forward and come back to crocodile, which is the one with your elbows bent and your head resting on those wrists. We're going to do one more asana here to strengthen, working on the lower back and strengthening. And this time we're going to lift the legs rather than the front of the body. So the legs are again alive, the belly is gently lifted. First of all, just feel the front of your legs pressing into the floor. Now take the right leg and feel that leg reaching back away from you. The hip bones, the as-is bones, are very firmly on the floor. Sometimes they're hard to feel. There's a lot of flesh or muscle around them, but they're there and they're working towards the floor. It's going to stay on the floor as you just lift that leg a few inches back. Just the right leg up and away from you. Keeping this hip anchored on the floor. And relax that right leg down. Take a breath. Now reach the left leg back and away. The right leg stays alive, but the left leg is working back and away, and then it gently lifts off the floor. And lowers down. Once more on each side, right leg lifts up and away. And relaxes down. In breath, left leg reaches up and away. And breathe it with the exhale down to the floor. Hands come back under the shoulders. Press yourself up to half plank. Hands and knees. Find hands and knees. One more cat-cow. And coming all the way to standing. Make sure your belly is contracted and strong as you stand. Come up and reorient yourself to gravity. Let's face forward for a moment. Shoulders back. When you land on your feet, facing forward, take a moment to find your alignment. Starting with the feet on the floor, all 4 corners of your feet, as if your feet are cars, sedans, and you have 4 tires. So both sides of your toes, both sides of your heels. The knees and the hips line up over the ankles. The belly lifts gently. The knees are not locked back. The knees are relaxed. And the shoulder blades lift up and back so that they drape and fall down your back in the open position so your hands and arms are slightly open. And then the chin is lifted parallel to the floor and working back so that the back corner of your head the back edge, if your head is a square, is reaching up towards the ceiling. And your ears are lining up back over your shoulders. Let's do a little balance right here. Now, this is a very small balance, so that if it's hard for you today, just don't go very far. We're going to take the right leg, and first of all, allow the weight to pour into the left leg. Feel the strength of the left leg, and then just slightly bend the right knee and lift the foot off the floor. If you have room and your balance is working for you, take it all the way towards a lifted knee. And for a moment, we'll just balance here. Arms are relaxed at the sides. Feel the strength of your balance. Put that foot down anytime you need to. Then reach the foot forward, stretch, oh my goodness, and then lower it. Take a wiggle. Feet on the floor. We'll do the same thing with the left foot. So the right foot becomes strong. Right leg is a tree trunk, pressing into the floor as your body reaches up towards the sky. And that foot lifts, the knee bends, the foot lifts off the floor. Balance may be really different on the other side of your body. Just see what's going on with you today. If it's comfortable, your balance is with you, the force is with you, you can lift that knee up and practice balance here. And finish by reaching the heel forward, and lower. And then take a moment to move the hips back and forth. Now, with just that little lift, if that lift we did, if you did the extension of the leg, you probably really felt the engagement along the top of the thighs here with those hip flexors. And even just walking up your steps, or climbing a set of steps, or walking up a hill, these flexors really work hard. And when you're sitting, they also work hard, and they get compressed and shortened a little bit. So that's why we're always talking, always working with those hip flexors in class. That's why it's constant repetition to do that. You see how easy it is to engage them. The other thing that's interesting is these hip flexors are connected to your autonomic nervous system, so that they are triggered in the fight or flight response to stress. So stress affects those muscles. Let's do a modified sun salute. And you can change this as much as you need to, but since we have this gorgeous summer day, we'll do a couple of sun salutes. So let the hands rise all the way up to the sky and gather that light and energy and bring it right to your heart center. And with an exhale, bend forward at the hips. You can bend your knees as much as you need to with this first forward fold. If you do not do inversions, if that's not cool for you because of high blood pressure or glaucoma or any other reason, you're going to stay with a flat back. If it's all right for you, if it feels good and it's appropriate, you can let the front of your body go towards the floor. The flow of the spine all the way from the hips, the belly and the chest draping over towards the thighs, and the head relaxed to the floor. Full forward bend. The knees can stay really nice and long here. Now, as usual, I forgot to tell you to bring your blocks to the front of the mat. But if you find the blocks helpful, bring them to the front of the mat now, and then situate yourself in either forward fold with this flat back, or the full forward fold, and have those blocks handy. Now from here, we are going to make one of 3 moves. The first one is you can have your hands on the blocks or the floor and step back into a downward dog. Now, if, and again, the downward dog is somewhat of an inversion. If you are not an inversion person, you're going to come to hands and knees, because that is not an inversion, and that's going to be the best place for you. If you can do a partial inversion, you can come forward, let the hands come forward into puppy dog. So 3 choices: stepping right back, and again, with any of these, you can use your blocks, hands and knees, or downward dog. You can use your blocks for any of these. So you're either in downward dog, first dog of the day, bend your knees as much as you need to get those hip bones rising to the sky. We'll take 3 breaths in either your puppy dog, downward dog, or hands and knees. And if you're in hands and knees, add the cat-cow motion. So hands and knees, down dog or puppy dog, 3 good breaths. Now, again, we have a yogi's choice here. If you're in hands and knees, bring yourself forward into half plank. If you're in puppy dog, bring yourself up to half plank. And if you're in down dog, you can come to full plank or half plank. So from down dog, you come forward to half plank or full plank. And from here, we're lowering to the ground. Again, yogi's choice. You can come down with a full chaturanga, or you can come down gently onto your belly. Arrive on the ground. Elbows are pointed forward, pointed back down the body, and the head, the forehead is on the ground. With the in-breath, lift the shoulders towards the ears, legs light up as you lift the front of your body, just your shoulders and your head off the ground in baby cobra. And with an exhale, take the head back to the ground. Then push into the floor, lift to half plank or full plank, and back into your raised position, which could be hands and knees or down dog, and walk forward to the front of the mat. Land with the back straight in the half fold position. You can relax to the full flow fold if that's appropriate, and then rise all the way up. Hands down to the center. I'd like to go through that 2 more times. Remember, I'll demonstrate it the first time with the modified version, no inversions, and the second time with the full version. So you are, and remember, you can switch back and forth if you get tired. If you need to take a rest, you can always come to seated position or child's position, whatever is comfortable for you. The arms rise with the breath and gather the sunshine to your heart. Exhale. And I'm coming to the half plank, half fold. You can come to the full fold if that's appropriate. And then we're going to step back into our down dog or hands and knees. And 3 breaths in down dog or hands and knees. Hands and knees can add the cat-cow if it feels good to you. Then with an exhale, we lower to the ground through half plank or full plank, either coming to the chest or chaturanga. Find yourself long on the ground with the legs alive, the front of the feet press into the floor, and the shoulders rise up to the ears and then settle on the back as you come up to a baby cobra. Exhale, down. Toes curl under as you press into half plank or full plank, then up to your raised position, which may be a downward dog, and then press into the hands and feet, walk forward to the half fold or the full fold, and the arms rise to the sky again. So you can stay with that non-inverting series, or if you have room in your body, you can do the full sun salutation and come forward with the exhale, come forward to half, and then full fold. Step back into hands and knees or down dog, and 3 breaths, either in down dog, hands and knees, or perhaps puppy dog. Wherever you are, especially in the dog positions, keep those hip bones rising to the sky. Then the weight comes forward onto the hands, either half or full plank, lower the belly to the ground, or lower through chaturanga to land on the ground. The shoulder blades curl up and take you into cobra. And with an exhale, we press into the ground to come up to half or full plank, back to your risen position, which may be down dog or maybe hands and knees. And then with an exhale, come forward into the half lift. If you have room, you can exhale down to the full fold. And with an inhale, bring the arms up and through center. And then let's turn towards the front of the room. And take a moment here to integrate again. So find mountain pose, find your breath. Let your breath steady, let your breath lengthen. Remember, at any time if we're working, if you're really losing your breath, if that nice full breath is not available to you, that's time to modify and gentle it down a little bit. Always want to keep that connection between the breath and the body and the mind in yoga to work through these poses. Hands on the hips, let's step out, and we're going to come to horse pose. So you step out into a nice medium straddle, and then the toes kind of turn partially out, and you can take your hands onto your thighs. The knees are going to stay working back, like second position plie if you were a ballet dancer. And if you're not, it's like you're riding a horse. So the knees come out for the nice horse. Imagine you have, you can have any horse. You may have a nice slender little horse here, or you can have a big old horse, but find your horse. And you can have your hands on your thighs and be pressing down and pressing into this bend. And breathe. A long deep breath here. And then rise out of it. Hands come all the way up, and they're going to open down as you come back onto this horse. We'll do that 3 times. So You push into the floor, lift the hips, lift the hands, and come down. And you ballet women or men are saying, this is grand plie. You cannot fool me. It's true. It's amazing how movement and language and music and ideas cross cultures. So from the land again in a comfortable horse position, and if horse just isn't comfortable, just come out of it. But if you can find a comfortable horse, come into your horse, because we're going to press in to the thighs, let the body, the hips come back and the shoulders forward. And this can be done here too. So if horse is just not working for you, that's fine. And breathe deeply. We're going to twist just this top half of the body. The hips are staying firm with the thighs. But as you come forward, allow that right shoulder to dip forward and find yourself with a partial spiral of the spine here as that shoulder relaxes forward. So the twist is just in the upper body. Exhale, let the left shoulder come forward. And then rise. We'll do this twice more on each side. We're working somewhat with twist today. And one more time. And rise so that you are centered, and press one more time through the hips. We're going to stay balanced and allow this right foot to turn all the way parallel to the long edge of the mat, and the left foot to also turn with the toes slightly towards the front edge of the mat. So we're coming to the footprint of Warrior Two. The heels will line up with each other, or else perhaps the heel will line up with the arch of your back foot, front heel to back arch. And the hips are orienting open towards the long edge of the mat. The right knee bends. And to complete Warrior Two, the arms rise. The head turns and looks over the front hand. Feel those feet pressing into the floor. You can practice enlivening the legs by lifting the toes off the floor in this position. Feel the legs working towards each other. A slight isometric action, as if you were going to create a wrinkle in your mat by those legs pulling together. Shoulders are relaxed and open. Head and neck are relaxed. Belly is slightly engaged. 2 more breaths here. Now allow that right hand to reach forward. So we're creating a long line from the back heel through this right hand, and then bend the elbow and come to your version of side angle. Maybe here, and it may be up higher, whichever works for you. We're going to take this top arm and allow our chest and body to turn towards the floor, and this arm to dangle loose from the shoulder joint for just a moment. Take it in a circle. You can take it in both directions, finding some room in that shoulder joint. Now we're going to liven it up by engaging that arm again, taking it forward, and like it's the hand of a clock or the vane in a windmill, moving it all around in a circle. So it comes forward, and as it reaches forward and up, the body turns with it. and comes into a full side angle pose. So the head can engage in its natural motion, what feels good, as much or as little as it wants to follow that arm. 2 more circles. And the last circle allows you to lift up, push through, and come to the front. 3 deep breaths. Find your block and set it in front of you. And let's come to a forward bend, bending from the hip joint with a nice flat back and placing the hands onto that block, whatever height works for you. Find some comfort here, find your balance, your stability. Then pressing the right hand into the block, allow the left arm to open. Again, twist with the top half of the body and relax that hand down. Could look like this. The right hand rises off the block and lower down. The inhale takes the arm up and the exhale takes the hand back. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up and exhale down. Now, hands on the block. Allow yourself to reach forward and find whatever stretch is appropriate for you in this position. And inhale, flat back. Heel toe, well, let's not heel toe the feet together. Find your balance, place your hands on your hips, and with an inhale and a strong belly, rise up. We're going to do the same work on the warrior 2 on the other side, so the left toes line up with the long edge of the mat, and the right foot, the toes reach slightly forward, as much as is available in your body. That strong knife edge of the back foot reaching down and back. And then the front leg bends. Always making sure that you're not going, the knee isn't going too far forward. The knee is staying in line with the foot, and you can still see your toes in front of that knee, so the knee isn't reaching beyond the toes. And feel the belly light up. Feel these legs working towards each other, the strong feet pressing into the floor, and then the arms rise and the head turns to look forward. A really very strong position of warrior 2. With the next breath, the front hand reaches forward to find a nice resting place on the thigh to create a side angle pose. We'll start with the arm, with the shoulder and the chest rotating towards the floor, so that this arm, the shoulder joint on the other side can find its freedom, find the room in there. Just find that and let that be, that space in the joint. Then engage that whole arm and let that arm, as it circles overhead, lift you up into the strong position of side angle. We'll take 4 of these circles. Head follows as feels comfortable in your body. And the next one is going to lift us all the way up. This time, let's turn the feet together and heel toe the feet and step the feet together. I seem to have acquired a dog on my mat, which isn't going to work in a moment here. We are going to do one more standing pose and then come down towards the ground. So for this pose, we're going to, let's come to the top of the mat again and step the right foot back into warrior one position where the hips are orienting towards the front of the mat. There's a space between our heels and the front knee has a slight bend. We talked a lot last week about lengthening the back of the pelvis down. So warrior one, the arms lift. Just straight towards the sky. If you find your shoulders rising up uncomfortably towards your ears, allow yourself a wider opening so that you can relax those shoulders down. 2 more breaths here. Now press into that front foot, hands on hips. We're going to bend forward from the hips into pyramid pose. So this is a good place to have your blocks handy. Have those blocks ready for you as you bend forward and reach towards the blocks. We're coming towards this forward bend with a flat back, looking for the stretch in the front leg under the hamstring. So you may find a really excellent stretch right here, or even right here, wherever that stretch happens for you. When you find it, enjoy it and let your breath help you work with it. You may have to come farther forward to make it happen. Three breaths with the forward fold into pyramid pose. Then with the in-breath, push into the floor or your blocks. Come all the way up and step forward to the front of your mat. Nice breath here. Let's let the arms rise to the sky. Gather what you need. Then take the left foot back to come into warrior one on the other side. Back heel is nice and strong in the floor. Front knee takes a slight bend, looking for the long back of the pelvis. The belly is alive and working and arms rise. 3 breaths in warrior one on the other side. Then hands to hips, straighten the front leg and allow the forward bend with a straight back to grow from the hips. And find where you need to be, where you want to be, to experience the right amount of stretch for you here on the right side. When you find that stretch, allow your breath to pour into that sensation. Keeping the back straight so that you're not stretching that lower back, but stretching through the back of the working leg. And a strong belly and an in-breath, pushing through the front foot to lift and come to the top of the mat. We're going to come down onto the floor. You can do that however you want. Mine involves moving the dog. Come on, Gracie. Let's go. Come on, come on, come on. Good girl. So we'll come all the way to the backs, to your back on the floor. We'll have a long Shavasana today and a short, very short meditation at the end, but let's do a little bit more stretching while we're warmed up on the floor, so you can lower yourself down using the chain of curls with flat feet or however you want to arrive on the floor. And when you arrive on the floor, take a moment to feel what's touching the floor now. And how does that feel? What's going on with the back of your body after all this work? The back of the body is just, we just don't connect it to it the same way as we do to the front, which makes perfect sense. But this is your opportunity to check in with that. And let's start by bending the knees and coming into figure 4 stretch. The figure 4 takes the, I'm taking my right foot and doing a secretary seat with it bent over my left. And then this often right here is a nice stretch, especially if you work on pushing that knee away from you. If you have more room and you want a little more stretch, you can reach through the triangle you've created here, find the back of your thigh, and pull that top thigh towards yourself, compressing the knee and the leg towards you, and find more stretch along that back of the right seat, that outside edge. And keep that top foot flexed, nice strong position, and send your breath into this stretch. Let go. If you have that leg pulled towards you, untangle the legs and take the left leg on top. And find where you need to be on this side to get a nice stretch along the outside of the left hip. Could be just here with the knee working away, or you may have to reach those legs further forward towards the body and feel what's going on in there. And when you find that sensation of stretch along the outside of the left hip, let your breath pour into that stretch. And let go of the thigh if you had it. Untangle the legs. Take your block, which hopefully is close by, and place it, relax, put it between your knees again. And let's repeat that twist we did at the very beginning of class, where the feet are on the floor and you allow the knees to roll together to one side, keeping that block between your knees to keep those knees aligned. Let the knees fall all the way towards the floor. And feel this twist and see what it feels like now. What is different? Has anything opened or loosened? Is it more comfortable? Use your belly muscles and your breath to press back into the floor, knees straight up, and allow them to fall to the other side. almost as if you're rolling into a fetal position. And then the shoulder peels open, just as much as is good for you. As we said before, if the stretch is way too much on your shoulder, please support that shoulder with a blanket or a block or whatever you need. Then the strong belly presses your back into the floor. You can release the block, put your knees on the floor. Let's come into Sukhasana. We're coming into butterfly pose, tailor pose, I'm sorry. So the feet bring your feet together and allow the knees to fall open towards the full, what your body has to give. If your knees are really high up and the pressure of gravity is not comfortable for you, use a block or a folded blanket to support the knees so that you can relax into this. Your knees may be lower down and you still want something underneath them, that's fine. That's fine. Just put it wherever you are. The hope now is that you can open the knees and that the pull of gravity here is not too much for you. If it is too much, support the legs as you're doing this. If you're fine now, you've got yourself settled, take your hands and press down onto those thighs so pushing the knees towards the floor. Just gently. This is not supposed to be painful at all. This is an opening. Press down. The legs will automatically press up against your hands and then release. Repeat that 2 more times. Press down into the thighs, pushing the knees towards the floor. And release 1 more time. Push down and then release. Now you have, let's take 3 full breaths to just allow those knees to relax towards an open place. Use your hands on the outside of your legs to help those knees come up together. Bring the knees into the body and really for a moment press the knees into the chest and then lighten up on that pressure, keeping the knees in. Again, roll the knees with your hands, just roll gently in a circular motion, finding the edges of your sacrum, rolling around on the back of your pelvis, checking for any little sore spots or areas that need a little love here. We're coming towards Shavasana. We have time for a full Shavasana. So take time to set yourself up. If you need one more action, another twist or happy baby, please do that for yourself. I always like a folded blanket or a block under my knees to help me relax. If you like something under your head, get that ready. If your room is cool and you want something over your body, that's a wonderful thing to do for yourself. And what else? Oh, you can put a folded blanket on your belly. Sometimes that's a lovely feeling of anchoring that helps you relax. So find yourself into Shavasana. Make sure that you can relax the back of your pelvis long on the floor and get those shoulder blades nicely tucked under your body. Whatever you need to really make yourself very comfortable. And when you arrive in your Shavasana position, observe your breath for a moment. You don't have to control it. Just check in with it as you did at the beginning of class and see what's going on now. Then allow yourself to melt in the floor as if all those contact points, perhaps your calves or the pelvis, the shoulders, the back of the head, if those could increase, as if you could soften your body is melting and releasing, those muscles are softening, and more of your body is making contact with the floor, the mat, the earth, as you fully give over and relax, letting the room, the sounds of the room fade away. And you're finding the deep, quiet part of your being and enjoying it for just a few minutes. Allow your breath to deepen again. Begin to reawaken yourself to the room around you, the noises. Do whatever stretching or movement that helps you come fully into your awareness. With a breath, roll to your right side and take another full breath there before you come up to a seated position and join me. Close your eyes for a moment more and take a deep breath and feel the sunshine and the energy, the life of summer flow all the way into your body, just flooding you with warmth and life. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for taking care of yourselves. Namaste. I'm going to turn off our recording. And hopefully.
So, Mary, when did